this, and what may work for you will be different for me because your context, your family, your work is different, and as things change, you need to kind of revisit that periodically. um, One of the things that I really felt compelled to do this past year is, I oversee a lot of different things, and just mentally, it's so easy to just get drained because you're just always on and you're kind of jumping from one thing to the next. And one of the rhythms that I've had to put in is a monthly rhythm of getting away once a month for a night or two, just to just unplug from everything. And again, some of the stuff we could talk about, and for, if they're in a low income situation, or if they're maybe a business owner, or maybe they've got a new startup and it's all on them. I understand everyone's situation is different, but for me, I literally have had to just say, hey, I need to just completely unplug for, 1 or 2 nights a month. No technology, no phones, no nothing. Just go. I'm an artist, so maybe it's doing art, maybe it's just reading, maybe it just goes sit in a hotel and just sit there and just veg, and do absolutely nothing. It's pretty powerful one of the things I love, we have a couple great monasteries here close by. um Find some place of Jesus did it. So this is my point. If Jesus, the Messiah, had to regularly just go disappear, leave the crowds, leave his disciples, how much more should we have to do that? And there's this invitation. I love, I think it's Mark 6, where he says his disciples, they go out, they're busy, they're doing all this cool stuff. They come back and it says they reported all that they had done, all the miracles. And Jesus says, come get away with me by yourselves. And then he takes them by boat. And it says there was so much going on that they didn't even have time to eat. I love that verse because it's a reminder that we can get so caught up in the stuff we're doing that we forget that we have to allow time to be. We are human beings created in the image of God. And if God had to rest, how much more do we need to rest?
Yeah, I think there's the phrase by Walter Brueggemann. I think he even wrote a book on it called Sabbath as Resistance, right? And I think the reality is that as we continue to, live in this new world that's continually trying to be like the old world, but also just continue to grow and grow and grow and get faster and faster, we're not slowing down as a society. Our organizations aren't slowing down. Our economies, it's slumping, but it's not slowing down.
Yep.
Technology is not going to slow down. So we're only getting faster and faster and faster. And I think the reality is, like, everything burns out at a certain point, right? So a lot of people have felt that, but our systems are going to burn out at some point too. We're going to feel overloaded. I think COVID was kind of like, maybe that for a lot of people. I think we're kind of see it, but we've not fessed up to that. Like you said, like there's an importance of recognizing where we are. And as long as we continue to tell ourselves nothing has changed or nothing needs to change, we will never find the importance of kind of that rest.
Absolutely. I mean, I think these are just reality. It's kind of like your car needs maintenance. You got to change the oil. You got to, I won't even tell you how much I spent. I've got a big F-150 truck, and I literally just, oh my gosh, I had to put some new tires on it, and like the AC went out. Like there were several, oh my gosh, I just spent a lot of money, but you have to do things maintenance wise to keep your home, your car running smoothly. Otherwise, your car will blow up. I mean, I remember when I was a teenager driving a car and never changing the oil. Like I had 1 or 2 cars where literally, I just, a tire would blow up because I never changed the tire or something like that. And it's kind of like, we're just, a lot of people, a lot of leaders right now, they're just ticking time bombs. They're just rolling around, not tending to themselves. And I hope that those that are listening this is maybe a call and a challenge to say, hey, stop and rest, receive Jesus's invitation to come to me and rest. Again, not to get all spiritual ooey gooey with you, but I'm reminded of the passage of Mary and Martha. Jesus comes to their home, and Mary's sitting at the feet of Jesus, while her sister Martha says she's busy, she's distracted by all of her busyness, and she says, hey, Mary's sitting over here, tell her to come help me out. And Jesus says, you know what, only one thing is needful, and she's chosen the good part. And what's the one thing? What's the thing that we really need to be focusing on? And as leaders, I speak to leaders, whether social entrepreneur, business owner, whatever sphere, marketplace or church. Our greatest asset is ourselves. It's not what you own, but if you burn out, you are your greatest asset to your business, your church, your whatever it is that you're called to do. Whatever you do, you are your greatest asset.
Oh, and to your kids and your wife.
Absolutely.
Who was it recently that said, sometimes the most important thing that you do is not something that you do, it's somebody that you raise, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of us are burning out, losing our families or compromising our families, and we all feel it. I mean, that's why we have HALT, right? Hungry, angry, lonely, tired.
Yeah.
And that's when you stop and you ask yourself those questions. And for a lot of us, it's tired. We're sleep deprived, we're exhausted, we're physically exhausted, and we can't lead well when we're continuously exhausted. And like you said, there's different grades of opportunity and availability. Maybe somebody doesn't have it in their budget that they can go drive 2 hours to a monastery for a weekend, or maybe they have a young baby at home. But one of the simple things that you kind of highlight, you and Mark highlight in this book, and you've seen this in, I just finished Hero on a Mission by Don Miller. You see this in 7 Habits by Stephen Covey, Insight by Tasha Eurich, right? Is the importance of getting to the end of your day and doing some kind of reflection.
Yes.
Can you talk about what is that ritual of like a day end or a daily reflection or a daily examine look like?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I mean, the daily examine is essentially at the end of the day, you allow time. And this is critical because, again, so many of us are non-reflective. We're reactive. And that was the thing there, all the craziness I remember, man, all the things that were happening in the culture over the last few years, like everyone felt like they had to tweet something or respond or make a public statement. And I kept hearing the Lord say, rather than reacting, you need to pause and reflect and allow space before you speak, before you act. And so what the daily examine is, it's this ancient, St. Ignatius came up with this it's called the daily examine. And it's essentially at the end of the day, pausing to invite the Holy Spirit to come. It's a time to recenter. It's a time to reflect on what happened throughout the day. And then if there are things you need to change, if maybe there's sin that you need to confess, maybe there's something you need to make right, or, and then how do we need to respond to that? And then we release that, we give that over to the Lord, and then we can go to bed in peace. And allows us again to recenter, to reflect, to respond, and then through that we receive, grace through that by just letting go whatever we did or didn't do for the day. I think it's a really powerful thing, and then that influences how we live. I think that's ultimately we become more reflective beings. We're reflective Christians, again, wherever we are called to serve. Then we can reflect on our families, or again, whatever our stage of life is, we just become more reflective people. So rather than just reacting on whatever the crisis is of the moment, We can reflect deeply. And I think that was the power again of Jesus's ministry. He led a reflective life, that he responded out of a place of deep reflection and prayer.
So I think one of the, and I love how, this is just an old thing that all of a sudden you're finding in a whole lot of self-help books or something of the sort, right? I mean, this is an old ancient monastic practice.
Yep.
It was practiced for thousands of years. Jesus practiced it, right?
Yep.
And it's been written down in different ways. And here we are saying, even our military practice something of this sort,
Yeah.
right? They call it an after event analysis, where
Yep.
after something happens, they say, well, what happened? What did we want to happen? Or what did we want to happen? What happened? And then what
Yep.
did we want to happen? What do we need to change about that? So the next time we get what we're looking for. And I think at the end of the day, I did this last night, just towards the end of the day, I wasn't quite the parent that I wanted to be, and I as the day closed on, it was like, okay, how do I be a better dad tomorrow?
Yeah.
What happened? What did I want to? Because this isn't what I wanted to happen. I got
Yeah.
annoyed, and it's that. But so how do I better maintain my emotions towards the end of the day, or in this kind of situation, or something like that? I think a lot of us would really benefit from that. But I think what the important part is in establishing rhythms, these new rhythms. When you're putting in something else, we can't really establish new rhythms without potentially or likely cutting something else out, right? So if you're going to go to sleep peacefully, reflecting on your day and asking yourself what you could do better tomorrow,
Yep.
that may mean you have to leave your phone somewhere else.
Yeah.
How many people go to sleep with their phone by their bedside or staring at the blue screen, and it becomes this major distraction that keeps you away from this, right?
Yep.
Or you wake up and the first thing that you do in the morning is check your phone, rather than go grab that cup of coffee and sit down and read some scripture, read a book or journal in the morning or something like that. So I think a lot of this is like, and I'm learning this, is we just have to cut out certain things.
Again, that's, yeah, absolutely. We're like garbage collectors, or we're like, our lives were like hoarders. We just collect stuff and we end up just, adding on and never subtracting. And that's part of life. Part of growth is, we change, we develop. But again, this is what I mean by habits, by rhythms, is what rhythms and habits do you need to have in your life now based on current realities? And exactly what you're saying is, what do you need to cut? Again, I'm thinking of these, biblical images of the pruning, the vine, the branches. Like, what are the things in our life that we need to cut? Not just what are the new rhythms we need. Maybe we need to let go of bad habits or old things that maybe seemed to work before, and just find what are those new kind of things that we need to put in our life. So it's good.
We're taught culturally that we just can infinitely progress our own space. But the fact is, I think all of us, I operate off of 3 primary tasks every day. These are my primary tasks. These are my secondary tasks. My goal is to get through my 3 primary tasks. But what I'm realizing is some of my 3 primary tasks are so big that I'm only getting 1 or 2 of them done throughout the day. And I never even get close to, getting to my secondary tasks. What that is telling me is my space is too congested. It's too full to complete the basic things that I need to. And I think we're designed, our culture is designed to continue to fill our spaces. We're like a garage, and we always think, well, we can just put more and more and more in there. But eventually you can't do it. And eventually you don't even want to walk in that garage.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's, the gift of limits. I remember, and man, our eyes are bigger than our stomach. And I remember when I was early on, I was coming out of graduate school. I was doing some really cool stuff. I was leading a church and built a care center and raised all this money, and we were building a building. And I was kind of talking about that at an event and I spoke at, and the old there